Hello everyone and welcome to this video on the basics of the terminal. Today we will be learning how to use the terminal, including file navigation, creation and deletion. Along the way we will learn some common commands and see how to use them. This is going to be a very practical video, so let's get right into it. Alright, so before we start learning commands, we need to learn four important definitions. They are console, terminal, shell, and command line. So the console, that is what you use to interact with the computer. So in our case, that would be a screen, a keyboard, and a mouse. The terminal, that's the program that inputs outputs text. So for example, I'm on Windows. If I go down to the PowerShell window over here, this is an example of a terminal. Now the shell, if I go back to VS Code, the shell, that's the program that actually interprets and runs the commands that you're inputting into the terminal. So it runs -interprets commands in the terminal. For example, Linux uses the bash shell and Windows uses command shell and PowerShell. So if I go back to our PowerShell window, if I type a command, for example, let's go back to here. If I type in a ls command, which displays the contents of a directory, when I press enter, the program that's actually running that command is called the shell. Okay, let's go back to VS Code. The final definition is the command line. Now that's where you're typing your commands. So where you type commands, it can be used interchangeably with terminal. So if I go back to our PowerShell window, where my blinking cursor is right here, that's the command line. So if I type in hello, to the right of the O, that blinking cursor, that's your command line. Okay, so basically the terminal allows text-based interaction and navigation with the computer. So most people would probably use the file explorer to get around the computer and open files. For example, if I go down to my file explorer over here, if I wanted to go into this folder, I would double click it with my mouse. If I wanted to open this file, I would double click it with my mouse, open it, I can close it, I can go back. So I'm using the graphical interface and my mouse to navigate around. The terminal allows the same functionality and more. So to show you an equivalent example, if I go to the PowerShell over here, if I clear this, where I am in the terminal is the exact same place I am in the file explorer. So you can see here, I'm in the example folder, and the example folder contains this folder called example folder 1. If I go to the terminal, if I type ls, which displays the contents of the directory, we can press enter, and you can see the contents include example folder 1. So I'm in the exact same place in the terminal as I am in the file explorer. The additional functionality of the terminal is that you can also write scripts to automate tasks and do a whole bunch of other cool stuff. That's not covered in this video. If I release a video in the future on that topic, I'll link it above. Otherwise, there'll be a link in the description to a useful guide. So to wrap up this section, a common question is, why should we use the terminal? Well, there's a couple reasons. Firstly, it's fast and efficient. If you're using the computer all day, it's a lot slower to be navigating using the mouse and the GUI. Although at the start, it's going to be a lot slower to use the terminal because you don't know all the commands, but over time, it's definitely a lot faster. Another reason is that you can automate tasks. So it's a lot more flexible. Again, that won't be covered in this video, but there's a link in the description. And finally, you might not actually have a choice. So you might not have a choice. For example, if you're setting up a server, it might not actually have a graphical user interface that you can click around in. So you might actually have to use the command line to set it up. Okay, so now we're actually going to get into some commands and examples. Before we start, we're going to be using the bash shell in this series. It's the most widely used shell, and it's also the default in Linux and Mac. If you're on Windows, it won't be installed by default. It is a pretty simple installation. There'll be a link in the description for a guide, or if I've got a video on it, there'll be a link above. Okay, so I've opened my PowerShell. And let's get our first example, which is pwd. That stands for print working directory. It basically tells you where you are in the file system. So if I press enter, you can see that we have home and then user. These are folders. So what this is saying is that we're in the home folder, and then from there, we've gone into the user folder. In Linux, the default file structure originates from the root. So you have the root at the top that contains all your other files and folders. And then from there, we've gone into home, and then from there, we've gone into user. Okay? So now we know where we are. We can see what's in our current directory. Remember, directory is just an acronym for, not an acronym, another word for folder. So if I type in ls, that stands for list. And if I press enter, we'll see what's contained in our current directory. Press enter, nothing comes up because I haven't made anything yet. However, if I type ls and then I do -a, this will show hidden files and folders. So if I press enter, you can see we've got a lot more information. Additionally, if I type in ls-l, that'll give me more information about each of the files and folders in the directory. However, we can combine both of these commands into ls-la, so that'll show hidden files and folders with more information. So if I press enter, you can see we have, we know their permissions, whether it's a file or a folder. If there's a D here, that means it's a directory. If there's not, it's a file, sorry. We have the names and we have some dates. So that just gives you some more information. Okay, our next command, a quick tip. If you type in clear, that will remove the text from the screen. And it kind of just aids my readability and it might help yours out. I prefer it to be more towards the top of the command line than looking down towards the bottom. So I press enter, we're back at the top. Our next command is cd. That stands for change directory. This is the equivalent of clicking into a folder with your mouse. So there is a problem because I don't actually have a folder to go into in my current directory. However, we can go back. So if I type in cd, if I type in ... that'll take me one up. So remember, if I type in pwd, we're in the root and then the home folder and then the user folder. If I type in cd ... we're going up one, so we're going back up to the home folder. So let's type that in. And now, if I press pwd, you can see that we're in the home folder. Now, if I type in ls, you can see that we have a user folder. And if I want to go into that folder, I type in cd and the name. Another handy tip is that you can use the tab key to autocomplete. So if I just type in us and press tab, it'll autocomplete the rest for me. It just makes it quicker. And I press enter, I'm now into the user folder. I can also make a folder using mkdir. That just stands for make directory. It's the equivalent of making a folder. And then if you press space and you type the name of that folder, let's just call it new_folder. And you press enter. Let's press ls to see the contents. And you can see that our current directory has new folder in it. So if I press pwd, remember, we're in the user directory, and now in that directory, we've made a new folder called new folder. If I want to change into that directory, we can type in cd new_folder, press enter. We've just made it, so there's going to be nothing in it. Let's just check. I can type in ls, nothing comes up. Okay, so we just went over how to make a directory. How do you make a file? There's a couple ways to do it. Let me just clear this. The first one is touch. So if you type in touch, that's just used for making a file. So I can type in touch and then the name, new_file. Press enter. Now if I type in ls, let's see what's in our folder. We have new file. If you want to edit that file, there's a lot of text editors you can use. The kind of basic one is nano. So if I type in nano and then new_file, press enter, now I can edit that file. So it's currently blank. I can type in hello, and then I can type in, I think it's Shift S to save. No, it's not. Let's have a look if I can get the guide up, actually. I do usually use Vim. Where's the cheat sheet? Ctrl-S to save. Okay. So if I type in Ctrl-S, we've now saved that file. And if I type in Ctrl-X, I should be able to exit that file. Awesome. Okay, back on track. So you use touch to make files. You can use nano to edit your files. You can also use nano to create and edit a file at the same time. So if I type in nano, and then I type in another new file, remember this doesn't exist. Remember, this is just the name, another new file. That doesn't exist. But if I press enter, it'll create that file. If I type in hello again, I've already forgotten how to save. Jeez. Control S, okay. Control S to save, Control X to exit. And if I type in ls now, you can see that it's made that file called another new file. Okay. What do we have next? Head and tail. Okay, so head will display by default the first 10 lines of a file. So if I type in head and then the name of the file, let's just get new file up. Remember, you can press tab to autocomplete. Press enter. You can see it displays hello. There's nothing more in it, so it's just going to display that. You can do the same thing with another new file, another underscore new file. Press enter. It's also just got hello in it. You can press tail for the last 10 lines. So let's see what happens. Tail, new underscore file. And hello is there. I guess since there's only one line, it's in the first 10 and also the last 10 lines. Okay, how do we delete files and directories? So let's just clear this. Let's press ls so to see what we have. So remember, we've made these two files. If I want to delete the file, we can press rm space and then the name of the files you want to delete. So let's delete new file. If you want to delete more than one file, you just put the name separated by a space. So I'll also delete another new file. Now, you be careful with the rm command. You won't be able to recover the files once you've deleted them. So it's not the equivalent of moving these files into the recycle bin where you can recover them easily. This will permanently delete them. So always take a second to make sure you're deleting the right stuff. So I am deleting new file and another new file. That's fine. Let's press enter. Now let's make sure they've deleted. So press ls. And there's nothing in this folder anymore. So they've gone. If we want to actually delete the directory we're in, let's go back one. So cd ... that will go back one up. So press enter. Let's type pwd, see where we are. So now we're in user. If I type in ls, remember, we just came out of new folder. So user should contain the folder we just came out of, which is new folder. So you can see it's there. To remove that, we type in rmdir, that's remove directory, and then you just put the name, new underscore folder. Press enter, press ls, and now it's gone. Take the same precautions with rmdir, because you won't be able to get the information back. Okay, what else do we have? We have the echo command. That's just prints out what you've typed. So if I type in echo hello, and press enter, it'll just display hello to the command, to the terminal. Pretty simple one. We've gone over clear. That just removes the text from the terminal. Another useful command is if you use the up arrow, you can kind of cycle through your previous commands. So I can type in text, I can go echo hello. I'm just pressing the up arrow. And you can kind of go through the commands you've written if you need to reuse them quickly. All right, what else do we have? Clear. If you want to exit the terminal, you can press Ctrl-D. I won't press that right now because I don't want to exit it. You can also type in exit and press enter to close the window. So exit and Ctrl-D have the exact same functionality. If you want to end a process, you can press Ctrl-C. So if you have some program running and you want to, it's stuck in an infinite loop, or you just want to stop it, you can press Ctrl-C. Okay, let's get into copying files and directories. So let's remind ourselves where we are. Okay, we're in the user directory, which is empty. So let's make a folder, Let's make a new folder again. since we deleted it last time. Press enter. It's there. CD to go into it, remember? CD new folder. And if I do pwd, you can see that new folder is appended now to the end of user. So we have root, home, user, new folder, and then it goes on. It doesn't go any further, but we can, if we make new folders, obviously you can keep going down. Okay, so copy. So let's make a file called touch. Let's make it new underscore file. Okay, type in ls, we see we've got a new file. If I want to copy that file, say I want to copy it to the directory up to the user. So if I type in cp, and then you type in the source, which is new underscore file, that's just the name of the file that we want to move. And then let's say we want to go up one. So copy new file. Let's try -home. Press enter. That was denied. Okay, we won't be able to do it into the home folder. What happens if I go user? Can I copy new underscore file into -home-user? Okay, nothing bad happened. So let's see if that worked. So if I see what's in my current directory, we have the new file. Let's go back up one. So remember, now we're in the user directory and we should have that file here. So type in ls and you can see we've got new file here. Awesome. You can do the same with directories. Remember, the way you do it is cp and then space and then the file you want or the source and then the destination. That's kind of the layout. You can also use mv for move. So that will move the source file into the destination and it will delete the file from the current directory. So for example, let's just clear this. Where am I? I'm in the user. Let's go into new folder. So if I wanted to move, what's a good example? Let's make a new file. Let's go touch another new file. So you can see now we've got another new file. Say I want to move this file into the user directory, which is just one up. I can type nv, the source, which is another new file, and the destination, which is in home-user. So this will not only copy that file into the destination, it will also delete it from the folder it's currently in. So if we press enter, we type in ls, you can see that another new file is now gone from our current directory. However, if we go up one and type in ls, you can see it's just been moved to this directory. Cool. You can also use this to rename. So if I go back into new folder, do I have anything in here? I have new file. Let's just clear and have a look again. So if I wanted to rename new file, you can also use the move command. If the source and destination is in the same directory, it'll just rename the file. So if I type in mv new underscore file, because that's a file we want to rename, and then let's call it, let's just call it hello. Okay, press enter, press ls. You can see that we've renamed new file to hello. All right, so we're nearly at the end. This is actually the last command. You can type in man to get the manual page for a command. You can also use it to get information about a whole bunch of other stuff, not just commands. So if I type in man space ls and press enter, this is a manual page. It's kind of daunting at first, but it kind of just provides a lot of information on everything you can do with a command. So you can go down with your arrow keys. Just got a whole bunch of information, and it's useful to get some quick info. Might be quicker than Googling. All right, you can press Q to quit. Let's press that. Awesome. All right. I think we're at the end here. If you guys have got any questions, please let me know. Any tips for improvement, please just put them in the comments. Please like and subscribe so I can reach more people. And thank you so much for watching.